What's good, y'all? It's your man Sight, and today I'm gonna show y'all how I got in my Queensbridge bag and channel my inner Havoc to make a dope remix for the classic Mobb Deep song Hell on Earth. Let's get into it. Let's get busy. Alright y'all, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, my name's Sight, and I make videos about creating dope beats using the MPC, as well as other tools for producers and content creators. So if you're into this kind of content, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. So lately I've been pretty busy burning the candle on both ends. I've been really busy with work projects for my business, the channel of course. I've been knocking out a bunch of MPC Gang merch and getting it out to you guys. And the last couple weeks I've had family over and just been really spending time with the fam, kind of getting the summer started. I am a summer baby, so I'm kind of used to vacation time around this time of year. And this is really when I connect with my family most and try to spend the most time. And as always, spending a lot of time with my son. And that's where the live too has really been a lot of fun. While my son has his playtime upstairs, usually I lose like 45 minutes to an hour of productivity, just keeping an eye on my little guy. But what's really dope about the live too is I can do stuff like this. Daddy time beats. Yo, this dude be keeping me on my toes, but I'm still in here banging out though. Check it out. So as you can see, it's already paying off. As I said in my last video, I've really fallen in love with this thing. I'm having a ball just being mobile and not tied to anything. And when you got a toddler in the house, it's good not to have cords that they can yank on and pull off the ledge. But it's just a really dope piece of tech. I'm really enjoying it. And it's just allowing me to be productive in a time that normally wouldn't be. So getting to the actual beat, shout out to my homie Julio from MPC Gang. He's been converting his kits over from his Maschine library over to his MPC using an app that allows you to convert it. And he sent a couple over for me to test out, make sure that they're converting properly. And one of them was actually called a Queensbridge Story, which is actually from Havoc from Mobb Deep. Now I noticed it when I first took a look at it, but this was a couple weeks ago, and I really never got around to loading up these new sounds into my MPC Live. So the other day I decided to actually go ahead and do it. If you would have told me 20 years ago that Havoc from Mobb Deep would be releasing his drum sounds for us to rock with, I'd have been like, homie, you foolish. But sure enough, I checked them out. It's the same punchy kicks and snares that I'm used to from listening to Mobb Deep. And this is a style of production that I've really enjoyed since I was a kid. Hav was a major pioneer from the early to the late 90s, even into the 2000s, and made so many bangers. Just a legendary, iconic producer. So with no further ado, let's get into how I put this beat together. Alright, so first things first, I actually went into the kit, I picked a whole bunch of drums out. The kit is actually pretty massive. I had to at least have 100 drum sounds in there, and a lot of them were really familiar. So I found a whole bunch of drum sounds. And I put together a simple kick and snare pattern, sounded like this. Now Havoc and a lot of beats in the 90s tended to have similar type of characteristics. They used to be quantized kind of the same way. Usually the kick drums would be quantized in 16ths. And you can put the swing anywhere between something like 56 and 62, depending on what kind of bounce you're going for. But on this one, I believe I used a swing of about 60. And then I went ahead to the hi-hats. Now the hi-hats, I actually used a couple different sounds. And I panned one a little bit to the left and one a little bit to the right. And it sounded like this. Now one thing about Havoc's drums is his snares would have heavy reverb, and they also tended to be pretty dirty. So I'll show you guys the effect setup that I use for it. So I ran the drums over to a submix, and that enabled me to take all the drums that I'm using and assign the same effects to them on a mix bus. And the first one is the Air Lo-Fi plugin. Now I put it on 12-bit, which is a little lower than usual. Normally I do about 14-bit, but this gave it a crunchy quality. I guess you could say similar to an SP1200, but probably closer to an ASR10. And then I dropped the sample rate to 27. Then I went over to the distortion area and I messed around with the clip and the rectify and noise mod and just try to make everything seem a little dirtier. So I'll turn the effects off so you can kind of hear what they did. As you can hear, the rim shot is pretty clean. I really wanted to dirty it up. So this is with the lo-fi. And then I put the compressor on there and I set the parameters manually, kind of just went through and found what I thought hit the best. And I messed around with the mix percentage as well, and it came out like this. So once I had my drums hitting the way that I wanted, I knew at this point I was gonna have to find a loop to go with it. And one of Havoc's signatures of this time period was using a lot of string samples, things that sounded really dramatic like a movie. That was kind of like a hallmark of the whole Queensbridge sound. You mix some 8th note hi-hats with kicks that kind of bounce with a swing on 16th notes. Then you put these dramatic string samples over the top, and it just made the beat sound really, really cinematic. And that's why all the artists from that area like Nas, Big Noid, Mobb Deep of course, Tragedy Gaddafi, Capone Noriega, all had this really dope style of dark cinematic beats on their albums. So I actually went scrolling through one of the dimmest sample libraries that I had on the MPC, and I found this string sample. Check it out. Then it gets really busy right here. So I thought that was really dope. I went ahead and laid it down over the drums, and this is what it sounded like. Last but not least, I wanted to add a bass line, and normally I'll find just like a pure sine wave, deep type of bass, but I decided to mess around a little bit. I went into one of Decap's kits, and I found a sub bass that I thought would work pretty well with it. Now it is an 808 sample, but I decided to take out the top end. With the top end on it, it sounded like this. So I went to sample edit, went over to the filter tab, and I switched it to low, took it down to about 51, and it sounded like this. Think I'm on to something.
Akai! Akai! What do you know from funny, you bastard?
Alright, so now I'm rocking. I just wanted to get a little bit of variation in the track. So as I listened to the full sample, I heard the second half of the sample was actually a little bit different. So I copied the original sequence, and down here where it says slice, I made sure it said pads. So when I brought over the start point on this one, it wouldn't interfere with the original sample. And I also did a little bit of warping to it, hit the BPM sync in the warp, and I adjusted this BPM parameter until it looped perfectly. And the second loop sounded like this. Pretty dope, pretty dope. And the last thing, Havoc used to always put a lot of little small percussion elements in the beat, so I added this small stick sound that I found in another kit. Last but not least, I created a reverb send with a long tail on it, and that's kind of a signature of Havoc's. The rim shots with the long tail reverb, went ahead and turned that up. And I think we're good to go. So that's the beat. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what it sounds like with the Hell on Earth acapella on it. And this is my remix. Check it out.
Yo, the saga begins. Begin war, I'll draw first blood, be the first to set it all. My cause, tap all jaws, lay down laws. We take it with yours, we do jokes, rust the doors. Here come the D's, time to make breeze, the guns toss. In full force, the team will go at your main source. My non-Taurus, hit bosses and take hostage. Your whole setup, from the ground up, we lock shit. blood flood your eye, fuck up your optics. Switch to kill instincts for niggas pop shit. Your nigga know it, what's the topic? 9 pound, we rocked it. 96 strike back with more hot shit. Illuminate, my team will glow like radiation with no time for patience or complication. Let's get it done right, my click airtight. Trapped in the never-ending gunfights, and niggas lose stripes and lose life. Jail niggas sending kites to the street over some beef that wasn't fully cooked. Finish them off, well done me. Then said 22 slug to your head. Travel all the way down to your leg.
Hey yo, it's hell on earth. Who's next are gonna be first? The projects is frontline, and the enemy is one time. I ain't gotta tell you, it's right in front of your eye. Hey yo, it's hell on earth. Who's next are gonna be first? The projects is frontline, and the enemy is one time. I ain't gotta tell you, yo, it's right in front of your eye. We rep the QBC, nigga rep yours, it's all love. Millie stack bound, heavily guarded by hollow tip slug. Then crack down, the wanna be thugs, adapt the gas sound, then bow down. Slow the fuck up, see how I'm found now? Articulate, hitting body parts and start shifting shit. Never hesitate, it's the rap game unlimited. Sign my roster, we can do this, forever infinite. Then reminisce, 20 years later how we was getting it. Either with me, go against the grain, you better hit me. Legging me, you're robbing me, niggas better body me. Cause it's a small world, the niggas talking like bitches. Bitches singing like snitches, pointing you out in pitches. Cause she rep the beauty seed faithfully. Player hating me, all that bullshit is just making me more the better. The concentrate on getting cheddar. Your shorty set you up, you better dead her. I told you, shape and mold you, son you, then I hold you. Like a pimp, mind control you, double edge blow you. Handle VI like I'm supposed to. The click is coastal, international, you local. Bacardi mix, physically fix. Hit you with shit that'll leave a loose nigga stiff, probably thick. Son, I solved them, pulled them in my world and involved them in chaos. Walk the beat like around the wake house, the average pit stop. QB City, Godfather, Part 3, Gotti, Gambino, and Ty Nitty. Scarface, rest in peace. Who's next are gonna be first? The projects is frontline, and the enemy is one time. I ain't gotta tell you, hey yo, it's right in front of your eyes. Hell on earth, who's next are gonna be first? The projects is frontline, and the enemy is one time. I ain't gotta tell you, hey yo, it's right in front of your eyes.
Yo,